Today may actually be the day we see names and flight logs from Jeffrey Epstein's friends and who traveled on his plane. Stuff we have been waiting for a long time, and stuff that has become a gigantic political football. So let me explain about Epstein. All right, so if you follow life, you know that Jeffrey Epstein was a wealthy guy who has been accused of sexually victimizing hundreds of women on a private island and flying them there on a private plane. Epstein was arrested for this and charged in 2019. A month afterward, he was found dead of suicide in his cell. Fast forward to now. Pam Bondi is the attorney general appointed by Donald Trump. She was on Fox on Wednesday, the 26th of February, where she said, among other things, that she expects flight logs to be released from Epstein's jet as soon as today, as soon as Thursday. She said, I'm going to read a couple quotes from her. Quote, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims, over 250 actually, she said. She also said, quote, what you're going to see hopefully tomorrow is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. But it's pretty sick what that man did along with his co-defendant. All right, so this has been a story that has really been kicking around in politics for a while now. Republicans have become very keen on getting this out. Marsha Blackburn, the senator from Tennessee, Andy Ogles, the congressman from Tennessee, have been pushing very, very hard on all of this. So let me take one big step back, right, and talk about what we know vis-a-vis Epstein and politicians. Okay, so among the people who have been named as associates of Epstein, these are just people he knew. Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, former Maine Senator George Mitchell, and very high-profile attorney Alan Dershowitz. So that's people in the political world that he knew. That does not mean, and I'll get into this more, that these people were part of or a party to or aware of what Epstein was doing on this private island. Again, 250 victims. Bondi has said the vast majority of whom we know were very young and maybe underage women. Now, Bondi also said, and I want to talk about Bill Clinton and Donald Trump in particular. Bondi said that Bill Clinton had been on Epstein's plane multiple times, while Trump hadn't spoken to Epstein for a decade after they had a falling out. So, sort of true, sort of not true. So, when we know that, yes, Bill Clinton has flown on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane. Now, Bill Clinton said in 2019 when Epstein was arrested, he said he had never visited Epstein's island and he knew nothing about the, quote, terrible crimes that Epstein committed there. So, yes, Clinton has been on that plane, and I would assume his name, when there are the flight logs released, his name will be on there. So has Donald Trump. We know that Donald Trump flew on Epstein's plane 8 times between 1993 and 1997. Now, one of those times he was on it with his wife, Marla Maples, and their young daughter at the time, Tiffany. One time he was on it with his son, Eric, who was young at that point. But we know that Donald Trump was on the plane. We know that Bill Clinton used the plane. Okay. Here's what we also know that Bill Clinton and Epstein were at least friendly, as were Donald Trump and Epstein at one point. So this is what Trump said. In 2002, New York Magazine, this is obviously before all of these allegations came out. In 2002, New York Magazine did a profile on Epstein. Mysterious, he knows all these famous people, knows all these famous politicians. And they talked to Donald Trump, who obviously had not run for office at that point, about Epstein. Here's what he said, quote, it is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. Okay, that's Donald Trump, 2002, on Jeffrey Epstein. Now, in 2019, Trump was obviously president of the United States when Epstein got arrested. And Trump said this, quote, I was not a fan of his. I can tell you that about Epstein. So this apparently all dates back to a 2004 real estate dispute. So in the 90s, Trump and Epstein, as well as Epstein and Clinton, were friendly. But in 2004, both Epstein, who was wealthy, and Trump wanted to buy a oceanfront property that was being sold at bankruptcy. And that wound up being a major point of contention, and most people who know say that is what kind of ended the friendship. Trump allies have said that, including Pam Bondi, that the relationship ended because Epstein was at Mar-a-Lago and was behaving poorly and was kicked out, and that was the final straw for Trump. Who knows? But here's the thing. This has become a huge deal because there's politicians involved, because this hasn't been released in 5 years, because there are lots of conspiracy theorists who think that Jeffrey Epstein did not commit suicide, that he was somehow murdered, although there's no evidence of that, and that there's a big ring of wealthy people. Republicans say it's a bunch of Democrats and liberal donors. Democrats say it's not, but this big ring of people that will be unveiled here, this pedophile ring of folks that will be on sort of once the Epstein flight logs come out, that we'll see this. So it's become sort of, it's all of these things mixed together, right? It's the heinous crimes of Epstein. It's Epstein's suicide. It's who Epstein was friends with, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, etc. And it's the sort of conspiracy theory world all wrapped up into one big thing. So that's where we get why this is such a big story and a big deal. Republicans have been pushing for this because, just like with the JFK information from the JFK studies, just like from all of these different things that the government has held on to, they just want it all out in public. Bondi obviously was appointed by Trump, but we expect, it might come out. Let's see what it says. But I will say, I think we are conflating Clinton, Trump, and Epstein a little too closely. Yes, what we know is, yes, they used his plane. Were on his plane. Both men have denied being at the island. Both men have denied any knowledge of what Epstein was doing there. Do you believe that or not? I don't. I can't say that I don't. I have no reason not to. But that's what we know. And one other thing I'll note, in January, a ton of information was released about what Epstein was doing, but names were not released. So this is the names part, right? Who was on the plane, who was associates with them. So don't be surprised if you see Donald Trump and Bill Clinton's names coming up, because we know already they flew on this plane, which is not, by the way, again, just to repeat, not an indictment of them. Doesn't mean they knew, doesn't mean they were taking part in what Epstein was doing, but they used his plane. So that's the sort of big picture here. This is going to be, it is a big deal. I think, candidly, we're focused on the wrong thing. We're focused too much on Bill Clinton and Donald Trump and the bold-faced names here, as opposed to the victims. And 250 women, either underage or very young, who were brought to this island and sexually abused. That's where we need to keep the focus. How the hell did this happen, and how can we ensure it never happens again? So yes, obviously the bold-faced names are going to get attention, but I think we know what we are going to know about their relationship, such as it was with Epstein. Focus on the 250 women who were victimized by Jeffrey Epstein. That, to me, is the real thing that we should keep our eye focused most closely on. Okay, that's it for me. As always, I ask you to do a couple things. I ask you to subscribe to this channel. We have surged over 60,000. I ask you to like this video. I know it's not a pleasant topic, but like it for the algorithm so that other people can learn about this and not just spew misinformation. I ask you to comment on this. Do it for the algorithm. Again, same reason. Get more people's eyeballs on this kind of content. I always say, I am calling balls and strikes no matter what uniform the batter at the plate is wearing. We need more of that. And last, tell your friends about this. Word of mouth matters. Tell your friends what I'm building here and why it's important. Okay, take care.